Hi, you guys. Before we get started, I want to play something for you. All right. So, welcome back to another episode of Social Saturday. As you know, we didn't do a show Wednesday because Wednesday was what? Christmas Eve. And I didn't want to bog you down with a lot of stuff on Christmas Eve. So, I thought I would give you guys a break from hearing my voice, right? So, I want to kind of stay into this mode I have been in when I talk about, we talked about, I think last Saturday, we talked about domestic violence during the holidays. So I want to continue this conversation because I want to go a little bit deeper. I was able to go over to my TikTok, and I don't do my TikTok that much, but I was able to go over to my TikTok and actually talk about it. And it really, really, like kind of broke things out or made me feel better being able to do that over there. So I want to reiterate what we talked about here, and then I want to add on to it. I love I look. I don't know if you guys like my scenarios or not, but I love my scenarios. Okay, I love my scenarios. Um, but as I was explaining the different the different scenarios, it made me think about some stuff. It made me think about I gave more examples of what happens when domestic violence goes wrong. And I found out later after I did that show that there was a young lady who was doing The Lion King. I think her name is Amon Smith. She was only 25 years old. And I think they said she was touring with them for about a year with The Lion King on stage at the Broadway. I guess it was like the Broadway play, a musical. It was a musical. I'm sorry. And her boyfriend, she left behind a 3-year-old daughter or son. I can't remember, but it was 3-year-old baby. He wound up stabbing her. Her boyfriend did. So I don't know the details, but I wanted to share that with you guys because I was shocked that that happened. And it happened, I think, I don't know if it was Christmas Day or a couple of days before Christmas, I don't know. But again, that's domestic violence going wrong. And we're going to I'm going to share some statistics with you about that. But I want to go back over um, what we learned the first time we talked about domestic violence. And these, it's the same thing we talked about last Saturday, but I want to bring it back again because I want to add more to it. And I also had some more scenarios that I forgot all about, that I know personally. Uh, that not scenarios, no, I don't want to call them scenarios. They're actually examples of domestic violence, and I call it going wrong. Okay, so, as you know, this is called domestic violence during the holidays. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to go back over some of the things we've already talked about because I think it's so important that we pay attention because actually the holidays are not over with, right? They're not really over with until after New Year's Eve. So, coming back and talking about this again, and you guys can always go back and watch the video um, explaining so many different things, explaining this whole situation. When we finish with doing this, we as you can see, we have the digital download sale going on right now. Any blank journals you want, I even put on sale my new ebook. I've got a couple of nice comments about the ebook. The first one, the lady with the lady in the blue empowerment woman, the lady with the blue on. That one, I'm talking about stress free, finding a way to deal with chaos. I'm sorry, I don't even know the title of my book. I've said it so many times, but anyway, that book, I've got some very good feedback on that book. Thank you very much for that. Um, I'm glad of that. Um, we're going to talk about the sale we have for the wrap dresses. Also, we're going to talk about the new journal that I'm working on now, and I'm almost finished with it. I think I got three more. think I got three more segments to it um, that I have to finish, and I'll be rolling that out. We also remember the first Monday of this month. Hello. Okay, can we break the book down by chapter? Yes, we can. Yes, ma'am, we sure can. I have no problem with doing that. Yes, Miss Finley, we can do that. Yes, yes. Um, we have and I'll be sending out your invites to the webinar that's coming out on the first Monday at 7 o'clock. I will be sending out the invites. I've already got the program already together. You will be receiving a worksheet. You're going to receive two worksheets. You're going to get one for the show, and then remember I told you guys about the friendship checklist. That worksheet is going to, excuse me, it's going to also be added on, so you'll get two worksheets on this webinar. Um, and again, I'll probably try to give you some examples from the journal. Um, Once I get everything done with that. I only have 1 week to get all this done, you guys, right? Because January the 5th is the day of the webinar. I'm excited, ready to move, and ready to get get you guys in there and have some fun like we did the last time. Um, so that's good for that. Everybody's been keeping up with their skincare regimen. What did I tell you? The humidifier in the winter to not dry up the skin. I hope you're adding extra moisturizer to your moisturizer, your facial cleanser. I hope you're doing all those good things to take care of your beautiful skin, okay? Because you deserve it, right? Um, that song you heard when I first came on, I hope you guys heard the song I played. That is one of the songs that is going to be on the radio station, or one of the segments I'll be putting on. And it talks about Rise Up Queen, because you know that's our thing now, right? So I'm excited about that coming forward. I think those are all the things that I wanted to talk about right then and there that I want to jump in there. Um, So let's go ahead and get started because I have to, my mind will go blank in a heartbeat. So let's go ahead and we're going to go a little bit over what we already learned, and I'm going to add some more on to domestic violence during the holidays. These are the things we need to watch out for. Um, and it was just like, when I thought about it, I was like, man, I've seen some things. I'm like, yeah, I've seen some things. Excuse me. So, one of the questions, the number one question was, why does the risk for domestic violence, do I have this on a timer? I might have it on a timer. Hold up. Yeah, I might have it on a timer. Yeah, probably do. I didn't mean for that to happen. But anyway, so um, one of the things, so we're going to talk a little bit about why holidays increase risk of domestic violence, and we're going to talk about what it entails. Okay, first and foremost, right? Some of the examples of high risk situations during the holidays is financial pressure, job stress, right? Um, Unmet expectations. And I think that's not only from the spouse, but also from the kids. Everybody wants this. I saw this. We talked about it. You said you were going to get it. Now you can't get it. Job pressure, right? When we talk about job stress, you thought you were going to get off that day, but you didn't get off, right? You had to work late. Um, you were not able to do those things that you needed to do. Your boss has got you on a deadline, right? And you need to get this stuff done, right? Okay. Um, let's see what else we talked about that could add to the job stress. Maybe even losing your job at a time when you were not expecting. When they tell you, "Hello," um, in the evening, that evening, they say to you, um, this might be your last day, right? You're getting ready to get off. You're happy. Everything's going on. Everything's happy is happening for you, right? You're good to go. And then your boss says, I need to talk to you for a moment. Okay. And you go in the office, and then you find out that um, this is your last day. I was trying to figure out how everything had got out of hand. I was not able to tell you earlier this week, but this will be your last day. Um, uh, Make sure you clean out your desk. Your services are no longer needed. I thank you for all the dedication and the hard work that you have given us, your time and everything. I want to thank you for that. But this will be your last day. That's job stress. Because now you got to go home and tell the family that you no longer have a job. Now, I remember there was a movie that was playing, and the guy was getting up every day, getting dressed like he was going to work, but he wasn't going to work. He didn't know how to tell his family he no longer had that high paying job that he had before. Okay. He didn't know how to handle the idea that he's no longer in the position to do all the things that he wants to do for them. The future, his future was gone. They did try to, they paid him a severance, but that wasn't going to last long, right? And then sometimes severances have stipulations to them. I'm just adding more on to the job stress, right? So then that falls into financial pressure, right? Because you got to figure out how are you going to do this, how are you going to move forward in everything you're doing. um you're trying to how do you say that, you're trying to calculate what's going on, you're trying to put it in your head to say this is actually happening to me. The reality of the idea that I'm losing my job, I've given these people 15, 20 years, and now they're kicking me out the door, and all they're throwing at me is severance pay. Wow. Think about that. Now, think about this too while you're thinking about that. Remember earlier this year, 300,000 African American women lost their jobs? But what y'all don't know is a lot of them have probably found more jobs, or they've gone into business for themselves. Now, I heard one lady saying that a lot of not a lot, but there was a percentage of them started consulting, and they're getting paid some serious money to consult. All right, because of the expertise and the training that they already have and the experience that they already have, they turned that into their own consulting business. So when you lose your job, don't necessarily mean it's something bad. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, this also is a time when we drink more and we drug more. We're so caught up in celebrating, and um, we drink more during the holidays. That's any holiday, basically. We want to drink more, so we drink more. So this is a opening, okay, for domestic violence. Um, you're forced to be together. Now, you just lost your job. Your wife has already taken off vacation from her job. The kids are out of school, right? You might even have family members coming to stay. So everybody's in this pressure cooker. Everybody's got all this stuff going on. Now, it's some happiness in between there, but there's a lot of stress because, again, you just lost your job. You really don't want to be bothered with family and friends. You just want to go in a corner and be by yourself, maybe drinks, get some drink in you, whatever, right? And that, like I said, that can add on. Um, the lack of personal space, because now it's people at the house. You got somebody in the guest room. You might have somebody sleeping in the room with the kids. You wind up having to bring the kids in your room because someone is using their room. Think about different scenarios that happen during the holidays. And look, they're not leaving till after New Year's. Okay, they're not going nowhere till after New Year's. So you can bet you about to go through some stuff, right? Um, Unrealistic perfect holidays, the tree trim, the big old beautiful decorations, and the whole 9 yards. And you want the food to be perfect. You want everything to be perfect. You're the one who makes sure all of this happens, right? I'm saying him as the one who's the perpetrator, but I'm also making sure you guys understand I'm talking about both genders. I'm not just talking about males being the aggressor. I'm talking about both genders. And sometimes you have that in they call it domestic partners. So I need to say it, and I need to title that domestic partner. So it could be any situation where you're the one who always has the perfect Christmases, and you have this going on, and now all of this is happening on top of you having to put on this perfect Christmas. Okay. Another thing is grief comes in, heightened emotions. Everybody's like under a lot. I wish grandma was here. I wish grandpa was here. They could tell us those old stories. I wish mama was here. I wish daddy was here. You know, my favorite auntie. Everybody's gone, right? So you're having to go through this process of every year around this time grieving because those people are no longer here. And you remember all the beautiful Christmases you had together. You remember all the good times because it's never always been that bad all the time. It got worse as the kids started to get older. Things started to happen differently in your life. So things started to really kind of surface itself, right? Um, some of it could be loneliness. Some people are lonely during this time, right? Or they have a sense of loneliness. Say you have a favorite sister and your sister is no longer here, right? And there's no other, it was just you two. You have nobody. He has a big family, or vice versa, but you have nobody, so you feel alone because everybody in your side of the family is gone, right? Um, so you're by yourself. Another thing is when we talk about jealousy during this time, right? You're jealous. You're jealous of maybe your brother. You might be jealous of your sister. You look at how they drive up in these nice cars. I'm talking about the materialistic side, right? And then also the ideal of how he treats his wife or how she treats her husband. You don't have that because there's abuse in your home, they're not, and maybe it is, but you don't see that, because when they're out in public, you see this loving, kind, sweet, laughing, joking, prankster type husband and wife team that does everything together, and they enjoy each other. So you get kind of jealous because you're not getting that with your situation, right? Um, the next thing is called talked about control. Somebody having to have that control over you, or you have control over someone else, right? Um, and you want to make sure you keep them in control. You got to make sure everything that you say is done is done. Let's not pretend like it's, goody two shoe now, right? At this moment, okay? I'm still in control, so don't get it twisted, okay? I'm still in control. I'm letting you know that, right? I'm joking, but I'm letting you know that the perpetrator, the aggressor, is the person who's saying that I'm in control, right? So the holidays doesn't cause abuse, it can only enhance it, okay? Because the abuse is already there, just waiting for it to look to raise his crazy head, right? So this is the next one is how abuse is hidden, excuse me, is hidden during the holidays, right? Everybody's getting along, okay, or everybody's pretending to get along. So you get people to smile and laugh and have a good time. And why is that? Why do you think that's happening? Because at that time, the victim is pressured. She feels pressured, or he feels pressured to smile, to not let anything get out, right? Making sure everybody's laughing and enjoying themselves, right? And also, she's responsible, or he's responsible for keeping the peace. So whatever he needs, make sure, or whatever she needs to keep her or him from spazzing out, going from 0 to 100, you just like, oh, don't pay attention to that. Sometimes he gets like that. Or let me get her another drink. Baby, you want me to get you some water? And she don't want no water. Water clears her up. She wants to be fogged out. She wants to be drunk, right? So she can clown, right? Okay. Um, so the next thing is family gatherings, right? um can make the hello, the the victim, I don't want to really use the word victim, the survivor, to make sure that everything is, it doesn't come out that there's a lot going on behind the scenes, right? So she doesn't talk, or he doesn't talk much, interacting with the family, right? But you can tell there's a difference in how quiet they are, because they don't want to get that other person, the aggressor, upset. So they're playing a role that they have to play in order to keep everything under wraps, right? Um, Another thing is, um, when they're in public, they appear so nice and sweet, and oh so apologetic. Let me open up the car door for you. When any other time he almost slams it on your head when you're trying to get in, right? Really, really, really showing out, right? Really trying to put on this airs that they're the nicest person ever, because they don't want everybody to see how they act, right? So they're going to pretend like they're, because the family's on an outing, kind of doing that last minute Christmas shopping with everybody else, because auntie and uncle is in, everybody, the outside family is here, the immediate family. Everybody's in, so everybody's out and about. So got 2 or 3 cars full of people, and he's opening up the car door, and he's holding your hand, right? And allowing you to get out, and making sure if there's snow that you don't slip on the snow. Oh, he's playing it. And she's like, with her, it's more of her, um um she would do like, is there anything you want? You want to go get some coffee or some, hot chocolate, or try to play it all off, because she does not want anybody to notice that it's abuse in this family, right? um So another thing what happens is, okay, so now it's gift giving time, right? So comes out, or she comes out with lavish gifts, and she's just trying to give the gifts and apologizing. We've had a rough year, and we've hit some corners, you guys, but look where we at now. We're just so, everything is just working out so perfectly. Anything to keep that smile and not to get somebody upset, because you don't want him or her to go to 0 to 100 on you in front of everybody. So you're going to play the role, okay? You're good at playing roles because it's what's been enforced in you, right? To play these roles so that nobody gets upset and no violence takes place, right? Um, Also keep in mind, this is also a form of manipulation too, right? Um, the gift giving, you pretend like like you're really into it, but you're really not, but you smile, thank you, baby. You're playing it off, but it's his way or her way of, keeping you where you won't spaz out, or you won't show any indifference so anybody else can see it, trigger them to go to that level of wanting to be abusive. Okay, so let's talk about the forms of abuse that happens during the holidays. What spikes? Not the holidays itself, right? Keep in mind, it's not the holidays themselves that happens. It's what's already in place, and it just makes it come to the surface. Okay. So forms of abuse. We're talking emotional abuse, right? Um, Guilt, making someone feel guilty after, for instance, say she told him to do something, he didn't do it, and she hauls off and slaps him. Now, her handprint is left on his face, okay, and to the point where it's visible, right? So the first thing she says to him is, "See what your dumb ass did? You made me hit you. I didn't mean to do that, but you made me do that. Now you got to go and you got to do something about that, because we're not going out in public where it my handprint is all over your face. So you need to go upstairs or whatever and do something with your face. Um, Put some cold towel or something. But you don't they don't need to see that I don't pop the hell out you. I told you to do something and you didn't do it." Okay, right? The emotional abuse. You know what? You make me so sick. I don't even know why I even waste my time talking to you. I don't even know why I married you. Okay? What I don't know what I saw in you. Okay? Um Threats. See, you're going to make me hit you one more time. You're going to make me hit you. Don't talk back. Don't you dare talk back to me. And you need to do something. Do I need to give you one of my girdles? Because your belly, you look like you're bigger than me. Do something. You can't wear that shirt. No. Not with your belly sitting out like that. You're not. When was the last time you went to the gym? Do some sit-ups. You ain't doing nothing else around here. What are you used for? What can I do with you? Do do some sit-ups. Stand up, sitting up there drinking beer all day, with you hanging out with your boys. Your boys should be taking you to the gym, running you around the block or something. Just being humiliating toward her, right? Okay. Um, I looked at the bank account, financial abuse. I asked you to put $1,000 in the savings because I need it. Why didn't you do that? Okay, you know what? That's all right. You ain't got to do it. I got your cards. I got all your cards, so I'll do it myself. I'll deposit it. And I am definitely going to spend what we have left on that other credit card. Oh, I don't care if you got appointments coming up. That's not even important right now. I said I'm going to spend the rest of that. That's that financial abuse, right? Taking all the credit cards from him, and you're going to do with them what you want. And I'm saying him, you guys, I'm talking both genders, but I want to concentrate because I'm always talking about the woman. Let me see how good I can do this, right? So he took she took all the credit cards, right? Um and Now next week after all this holiday stuff is over with, I'm putting you on a budget. I mean, I'm putting you on an allowance. You're not. How much is your lunch at work? Mm, Let me see. So about $40 or $50 a week is all I'm allow you to have. That's it. You, I, $50. That's all. You put your gas in the car. Make sure you got gas in the car to get back and forth to work. I'll let you use the card for that, and you better not spend nothing else on that card but that. And I will give you $50 in cash from here on out. We gonna act right. We gonna act. I'm gonna get you to act right this year. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get you to act right this year. Um, I know you asked for that new crossbow. We can't afford it. Yeah, we can't afford it. I know I told you I was getting it, but you ain't getting it. I know. Nope. Nope. And by the way, we were supposed to be going on a cruise, right? You wanted to go on that cruise, right? Well, guess what? Oops, I forgot to pay for it. I know it was supposed to be coming up, but we're not going. No, because you know why we're not going? Because you want to talk back to me. You want to talk back to me and you want to act a fool. And I'm not doing that. I already done told you. I'm not doing that. Sabotaging plans. We're not going. No. Mm-mm. I don't look. The kids will get over it, just like you're about to get over it. And if you keep talking, I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you that you're gonna get over it. All right. So we're not going. Sabotaging the plans. Right. Okay. All right. The next one is the violence, physical abuse. Okay. I already slapped you. Now, did you hear what I said? I said we're not going. I don't care. They can go stay with their grandmother, but I don't care. We're not going. And I said it. Do I need to show you better than I can tell you? You look, I already done told you we're not going. And then before you know it, you done hauled off and punched him in his back because he's sitting on the edge of the bed and knock him down on the floor. I already done told you we ain't going. So the end of that conversation. Now, next. Okay. And let me give me your phone. Give me your phone. You know, you said you were going to the store Tuesday. I put an air tag. You didn't go to the store. Where were you at? Do you want me to tell you where you went? Because I can tell you didn't go to the store. Well, you don't have to lie. See, when you lie, that's what makes me angry because then I can't trust you. So why didn't you tell me you were going to go check on your grandmother? That's all you had to do. You said tell me you was going to check on your grandmother. I wouldn't have made a big deal about it. I just know you only spent 15 minutes over there. Other than that, you better be on your way back home because you know I can't trust you. And this is her talking to him. This is how she's treating him. Yeah, you never know when I'm going to put an air tag on your behind and watch where you go and monitor where you go. And I looked in your phone. Who's Sarah? Okay. Well, you tell Sarah she better not call your phone anymore. Okay? I think you need to tell her that. There's no need for no Sarah to be calling your phone. So now you're taking over the phone. You don't want them talking to anybody, right? Um, Even the ideal of not being able to speak to your, I'm giving you 15 minutes to go see your grandmother. Everybody else you're not allowed to see. You only get to see them on the holidays. And if you clown or make me mad, we'll leave early so you don't get a chance to see everybody. Because you know everybody's not going to arrive at the same time. So you're not even going to get a chance to see everybody. Because I'll get tired. I'll say I got a headache. Keep in mind, don't get it twisted. Okay? Oh yeah, I'll do that. All right? Okay. Now, the next one was a surprise to me because I didn't know. Well, I did know, but I didn't know. Okay. Um, Reproductive coercion and sexual abuse. I never heard of that until I actually did I did on my other show. I actually did for October domestic violence, and that's when I found out about digital abuse. I didn't know too deep into that, and then the reproductive coercion. What is that? Okay. What is reproductive coercion? I told you I wanted another baby. You're saying we can't afford one. I'm saying we can, and I want one, and we're going to do what we got to do to get one. Oh, you don't need those. You don't need no. If you, I promise you, you don't need those. And I stopped taking my pills, so I threw them away. I'll get them refilled after the baby is here. But I am going to get pregnant. We are going to have another baby. I I don't want to hear it. I don't care if we can't afford it or not. I want another baby, so we're going to have one, and I'm gonna prove it to you. We're going to have another one. I'm good. I'm all good, and I know you are too. So we're going to have another baby. So you're forcing him in a situation that he's already made up his mind that he doesn't want, but we're going to have one. I even went to the point of making an example of if he's using condoms, right? Putting holes in the condoms so I can get pregnant. Oh yeah, because I said I want a baby. Even though we sat down and talked about it, I argued, I cussed you out, I called you all kind of names. Even though you said, baby, right now is not the time to have another baby, we financially can't afford one. We already have two. But I've already told you after I punched you that I'm having another baby. I don't care what you want. I'm having another baby. You see? See what happens? And the sexual abuse, believe it or not, women can sexually abuse men. Please do not get it twisted. Women can sexually abuse men too. So I'm going to get pregnant. I don't care what you say. And that's the end of the conversation. Let's move on. Okay? Now, these are the warning signs that we have to, as friends and family, need to pay attention to when it comes to domestic violence. When it comes to paying, when I say pay attention, you need to have your intuition sharpened and your discernment sharpened, and always be watching how people interact with each other. Look how couples interact with each other. If this person, for some reason, they don't show up at the family gatherings, and they're telling them they're not feeling well. Like one partner shows up and it's like, well, he's not feeling well. You blackened his eye and his lip is swollen. And you didn't want nobody to see that. But his friends and his brothers are asking where he's at, right? He wasn't feeling good. Well, can I stop by the house and see him? Nah. Um, he's not going to be in a mood to see anybody. He's really not feeling good. What we could do is we could call him and you can check on him that way. But see, they don't want it She doesn't want nobody to go to the house and see him, right? Don't want nobody to see him. So she says she'll call him on the phone. Well, why can't we FaceTime him? I would love to see him. Nah, you don't need to FaceTime him. He's not good with that FaceTime stuff. Now she's making all these excuses for nobody to know that she done busted his eye and busted his lip. Gave him a black eye and busted his lip. He's at home while everybody else having a good time. And she did it on purpose so that he wouldn't be out and be around family. Because again, one of the things to do is isolate him, right? Away from family. Okay. And his friends are asking these questions because they know, his friends and families are asking because they know, right? Visible anxiety, like if just by chance he is there, he's kind of nervous. Um, he's they're asking questions, but he's trying not to make sure that she doesn't hear the questions they're asking. Because if she hears it, she's going to take it there. So, you know, um, he might go down the hallway and talk and whisper, but guess what? She's right there. She wants to hear everything he does because she doesn't want people to know what she's doing. Okay. All right. Um, and also, he gets in the habit of making excuses for her behavior when she does go there. Okay. Um, the unexplained injuries, just like I just told you, he has a black eye and a busted lip. Right. Um, they ask how this happened. He says he ran into a door and he was bike riding because he had to lose the weight. Because you remember, she talked earlier about his weight. So she had to, he was on his bike and he fell face forward and busted his lip. He hit his mouth on the handlebars, okay, and busted his lip. That's an excuse, right? They looking at him side eye because we know that ain't what happened. They know what a busted lip look like, but that's what he's telling them, right? Um, and then he's standing around talking, and all that time he's talking, when he is talking to somebody, she's watching him. And he's looking up and he sees she's watching everything he's saying, how he's moving his mouth, what is coming out of his mouth, and everything. Because again, she doesn't want anybody to know what's going on, right? And when he is talking to several people, right? She comes over and stands by him and she gets into the conversation. Now, believe it or not, people are watching, but they're just not saying anything, right? People are watching how she's actually treating him. Okay, keep that in mind. And when he's alone, that's only when he goes to the restroom. You know, he's not allowed to be where he's by himself, right? Like if he walks, say he walks outside to get some fresh air, you can get best. She's standing there. She's right behind him because she don't want him to be alone because he might walk away, right? So she wants to make sure he don't go nowhere, right? I don't want you guys to think I'm making this as a joke. I'm giving you scenarios. That's all. And the scenarios, to me, are important. And I want you to use your imagination on top of the scenarios that I'm giving you. Because you know why? Because then it gives you a better understanding of how some relationships are. There has been movies out talking about the man who's going through the abuse, and not, it's not the woman, it's the man, and she's dishing it out like real bad. Okay, so I'm kind of giving you that to work with. Now this talks about why women may stay, I mean, excuse me, why victims stay silent. Fear of ruining the holidays. Okay, he's trying to make sure the children enjoy themselves because he already knows hell is at home. When he goes, when he crosses that threshold to go into that house, he knows hell's there. So he wants everybody to enjoy themselves, including his wife, right? Um, Now remember, he lost his job, so now he has to depend on her, right? Um, so he's almost, I don't want to say trapped, but the financial independence he had, he doesn't have it anymore. Remember, she's taken his credit cards, everything, so he doesn't have that anymore. She has it, so he has to depend on her. Remember, she said this year she's giving him $50 a week. That's it, to take to work whatever job he eventually gets. Right? Um, you're dealing with shame and embarrassment. You're like, what in the hell happened? How did I get to this point where I'm not working right now? She has me on a budget. She's putting air tags in all the things that I have so she can watch where I go. You know, I'm getting beat up, right? If I say something, if I speak out, is a problem, right? So he's dealing with the shame and embarrassment, right? Sometimes, and we know that it's totally opposite when it comes to cultural and religious pressure. We know that that's opposite. We know that the man is the aggressor majority of the time when it comes to religion. Okay, the woman has to be obedient to the man. We know how that works, right? Um, and then it's a new year coming in. So in his mind, he's thinking, okay, it's a new year coming in. Okay, it's a new year coming in, and he's thinking everything is going to get better, right? That's what he's hoping for, that everything gets better. Um, but we'll see. Okay. Now, this is how his friends can safely support him without outright asking him directly certain questions, right? When he does have an opportunity to talk to his friends have to discuss and talk to him without judging him. Because I don't know if you guys understand, it's a different type of feeling when the male is the one who's the victim. It's a whole, because that's his manhood that is being stripped away when she's the abuser. Okay? I'm not saying anything about the woman, her womanhood gets stripped away, but it's different for a man because most of the time he's the one who can take control and do all this, right? But when a man is in a position where he's not the aggressor, it's different for him, right? So he has to have friends that do not look at him and say, man, what the hell wrong with you? I know you ain't letting her hit you. What the, you know, you don't need a friend that's going to talk to you like that if you're that male. You need somebody who just listen, um, and believe them. Well, you're going to have to believe them as a friend because the marks are going to be there. He's going to have a busted lip. He's going to have a black eye. He's going to have something going on with the rest of them, so you can see that there's something going on at that house. And you can see that he's been lying to you as a friend, right? Um, One thing you don't do, you don't pressure them to leave. Okay? You don't talk about, man, I would have been gone. I would have been packed my stuff and go stay in a hotel or go stay with a family. No, you can't say that. Don't do that. Don't ever encourage someone to leave, especially at the volatile moments that take place. You don't want to encourage them. That's for women too. You don't encourage them to leave. You be that support, and that's it. Because they could pick a time to leave listening to you, and it might be more detrimental than you think. So never do that. Never tell them you gotta leave. You gotta leave. If I was you, just tell me what you want me to do. I'll get you. No, don't do that. Let them decide when they're ready to leave. Okay. Um, what you could do is you could help them create a safety plan. Yeah. You could help him create a safety plan. First and foremost, um, make sure there's no air tags in anything. I'm just saying, because some air tags get you in trouble. Um, offer practical help. Offer them a safe place to go, resources, right? Um, and even you can encourage them to give them a ride somewhere, as long as you checked everything and there's no air tags where she can follow. Okay, make sure of that, right? Okay. Support doesn't mean forcing a decision, making them make a decision. It just keeps doors open for them. Okay. So it's not your place to tell them, to encourage them to leave. Okay. That's male or female. Don't do that, because it could be at the wrong time. Okay. The next thing is safety planning during the holidays. Okay. He can keep emergency numbers. If you're one of those emergency numbers, he can keep those numbers. Maybe you need to disguise it under someone else's name, so when she checks the the phone, they won't find your number or anybody else who's helping him number in there. Um, if you can't leave the house at that very moment, right? Find a safe room, right? Or another exit out of the house. Okay, maybe it's the window, maybe it's the patio door, whatever, wherever you need to go. If you can't leave the house, um, go in the bedroom, maybe go in the closet, whatever, to get away from, if it gets to the point where you have to do that, right? Um, make sure you have a little bag packed. You know what you put in there: underwear, toothbrush, anything that you need that's going to keep you safe, right? Something you can grab, or something you might want to keep in the car, or you could keep it in your friend's car. Okay. um, Also, it talks about a code word having, and you only give it to people that you trust. Let me tell you something that you don't do. Do not ever trust friends that you and your partner has met together. Let me say that again. If you and your friend, I mean you and your husband or wife are together, and you've met somebody, or you've had friends, or they've already had friends, do not let them know what's going on. Okay, because they will be the ones who will go back and tell. Okay. They will be the ones who will call your wife and tell her where you're at. So you need to cut ties with them. Okay. Any friends that you have accumulated together as a couple, you do not need to be discussing anything with them, because you'll find out where the loyalty lies. And if she had friends prior to you guys actually getting together and getting married, you cannot trust them either. Now you guys are all friends together. Don't trust them either, because they will tell too. So don't trust them. Do not tell them what's going on. Okay. Um, Trust the intuition. Okay. Um, when there's a lot of tension going on and you know it's going to take it to 100, do not, do not keep talking. I don't care how mad you are. And I said this too when it comes to women in those situations. Quit asking questions. Quit talking altogether. Stop talking. Because the more you talk, the more you're taking them there. And it escalates. It's, like we tell our kids, do not talk back, because the more you talk back, it's going to make me go there with you to spank you. Well, do the same thing. Don't talk back. Do not talk back. That is not the time. When you guys are at the point where you guys are going to get physical, quit talking. Don't ask him no questions. Don't ask her no questions. Don't egg it on. Stop talking. And slowly but surely find you the safe place that you need to go to, or that safe exit to get out. Don't keep talking, because you do not know the first time it happened, the second time you were able to get away. The third time you're able, the fourth time does not guarantee that you're going to be able to get away. Okay? I'm just saying, I'm being realistic. I'm being realistic. So what I'm saying is don't. Don't keep talking, yapping, and going back and forth with them. Don't do it. Be quiet. Be quiet. Because you know what? They sound kind of crazy arguing with themselves. And you know what they'll do? They'll keep talking because they're gaslighting. They want you to keep going back and forth with them. Don't do it. Get in the habit of just being quiet because they have to have an excuse to take it there. And when you're not giving them that, that irritates them, but it also keeps you safe. So the best thing for you to do is slide your tail out of their atmosphere and go somewhere, go to a safe spot. Tell them you're in the bathroom. I had to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry, I had to go to the bathroom. Or something like that. But get out of their view. Because the more you're there, the more it's irritating them and taking them there. It's not about you bowing down to them. It's about your safety. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, the next thing is very much so dear to my heart. When we talk about children, let me say this. And I know there's moments in our lives and when these situations take place, we're not thinking about the kids. We need to. We need to make the children priority. If you have children and you're in a relationship where there is domestic violence, the first thing you need to do is get your kids out of that situation. If you can. I know somebody who couldn't remove the kids, but she had to leave. It had got to the point where she couldn't remove the kids. It was more dangerous for her to move the kids than for her to not just walk away from at that very moment. So I don't fault women who do that. I'm for sure, I get it. That person wasn't going to hurt the children because they were targeting her. So she felt confident, a little confident enough to know to leave the kids. This situation. All situations are different, but this situation, she was able to leave the kids and she was able to get them later on, but she left the kids. Okay, at that time. If she would have tried to you're trying to take my kids away from me. Think about it like that. Okay. Um, so let's talk children, and especially around the holidays. So, believe it or not, if you're arguing with your spouse or your significant other, the children knows that. They feel the tension. They're they probably have more of a highlighted or heightened sense of discernment than probably you do. Okay? Than you do. That's a possibility. Okay? So, what you should do is make sure they're safe. Okay? If you guys are arguing, tell them to go to their rooms. Okay? Give them a cell phone. Tell them what to do if it gets out of hand. But don't have them in the same room with you when these things are happening. Okay? And I think I told the story about the young lady who her husband was videotaping the beatings. She actually, he had the son videotape the beatings. Yeah, yeah. Her son was videotaping the beatings that he was giving her. He acted like she was a child, and he knew everything she did. But one day, think it was her boss, caught on, and she was able to tell what was going on. And that's how they got him. He wound up having life in prison because the reason why he got life in prison because of the videotapes. Yeah, he had her son videotaping the beatings. Okay. Um, and just imagine what that did to that child, right? Keep in mind that any type, not only just holiday violence, but any type of domestic violence at any time leaves long-term emotional scars on your children. When you're arguing in front of them and you're cussing each other out and you're using all kinds of language in front of them, okay, you're talking all under each other's clothes, okay, you know what I'm saying, right? Calling each other bad names right in front of the children. We seem like our kids don't matter. When we get to those points where we're mad, it's all about our feelings and how we feel. We don't even pay attention to the idea that our children are sitting there watching this craziness going on. We don't even take that in consideration. If you have an opportunity to get your kids out of that situation, get them out. Remove your kids out the room. Remove your kids away from any type of, if you really truly saying, I'll die for my child, I'll do this for my kid, I'll sacrifice everything, but you you let your husband or boyfriend cuss you out, degrade you, humiliate you, and then beat you in front of them. That doesn't make any sense. You'll fight somebody out in the street with their child on your hip or standing around watching, but you have somebody right in your home beating you, and the kids are sitting in the living room watching it. Make it make sense. Remove your children as quick as you can. When you know he's about to go there or she's about to go there, remove the kids, send them to their rooms, but make sure they have a cell phone on them. When I was going through my training for domestic violence, they have this recording, a police recording that they play. And when you get through listening to that police recording, you are bawling. There was a room full of grown people crying like babies because of the 911 call. It was a little girl calling 911 and describing what her dad was doing to her mom. Yeah, literally describing it. And she's crying and you're sitting up there now. You're in this class. You're supposed to be being prepared for all of this, but you couldn't. We were crying because of the way it sounded when she was describing what he was doing to the mother. And you could hear her in the background. You could hear the mom screaming in the background, and you could hear him. You could hear him actually hitting her. And this was a real live 911 call. Children should not have to deal with that. And that's why I'm telling you, remove your children out of an area if this is going on. They don't need to see it. It's enough they have to hear it. But visualizing it leaves a lasting, a much longer trauma on that child when she's actually or he's actually watching. Okay, keep that in mind. All right. Um, being able to keep your child protected and in safe environments is much more important. It's a lot more important than that. Protecting peace over anything else should be the priority you have when it comes to your children. Protecting their peace, their sanity, Their mental, it should be so much more important than anything else in any situation. Okay. Now, getting the community involved. These are the things communities can do um, for their neighbors. Um, you can check in with people, check in with your neighbors. If you live in a community where you can go house to house, a neighborhood, check in on it. You don't have to know what's going on. Their house might not be it, but check in on people. Make sure everybody's all right if that's what you need to do. Make sure everybody's all right. Pay attention to what you're seeing, what is being transpired while you're standing there. Okay? Leave a note, not a note saying, oh, you need to, leave a just, you can leave a note. How you doing? Just checking on you, making sure everything all right. Walk away. Put it in the door, right? Um, Normalize the conversation we're having. The conversation we're having right now, normalize that conversation. Talking about domestic violence because we don't. It's a secret. It's an embarrassment. It's shame that all of this is going on in our homes, but you need to talk about it, right? Um, if there's any resources about domestic violence, shelters, any type of tools, anything that can help somebody to give them phone numbers, right? Um, Anything that you think that is going to help, you can leave that for anybody. Actually, you can go through the neighborhood and leave those little cards with those numbers on it for everybody. It doesn't necessarily mean you know what's going on in their house. Just leave that number for everybody. When you guys have community gatherings, make sure that conversation is being had. Okay? Make sure they're talking about that in your community gatherings. Even when you have a community email go out, put it in that email. Put that number down at the bottom. You have the suicide hotline number and the domestic violence number that you can put on your newsletter, okay, at the bottom, right? Okay. Um, Also, create safe spaces that people can come and talk, okay? Create spaces that make people comfortable to share things with. Because you'd be surprised how many people are so isolated and don't, interact with a lot of people. Well, for one thing, that's kind of hard to a certain extent to do that because if they don't want you talking to other people, you're not able to do that, right? You're not able to do that. So maybe you can catch them outside when they're look maybe raking the yard or whatever and kind of, you know, talk to them then. But you have to, if you're doing it in a community setting, definitely um, have them a safe space to talk in, a safe place. If you go to church, there should be, if we can go to Wednesday night service, Tuesday night service, you should have a service for domestic violence, talking about domestic violence. You should. Churches should have that. Churches are supposed to be safe havens anyway. Your community organizations should have a place for that too. Yeah, should have a place for people to go to talk. Okay, male or female. Now, even in the families, when you have your get togethers, right? Or if all the women in the family go out, it should be a conversation. And it shouldn't be a conversation, like I said earlier, no judgment. Believe them if it's going on. You don't have to judge them. Okay? And it's not acceptable for anybody to do that to anybody. Never allow it to be something acceptable. Okay? It's not normal to be abused. That's not a norm. Okay? And we have to start looking at it in that way. It's not normal. Abuse is not normal. And you have to know that. Okay. Now let's talk about resources. Remember, I told you earlier, you have uh, the suicide hotline, and then you have the domestic violence hotline. Okay, so the number to domestic violence. I don't have the suicide number, which I should have added on there, but I don't have that number. But the number that you can call is 1-800-799-SAFE, SAFE, or 1-800, excuse me, yeah, 1-800-799-7233. Let me say that again. 1-800-799, right, SAFE, SAFE, or 1-800-799-7233. You can also text START, right? START to 8788. Let me say that again. I said it wrong. You can text START to, excuse me. You can text to START, START to 8788. Let me say that again. START to 8788. The word START, and you're going to text it to 8878. Okay? 88788. These are the numbers and texts that you can call if you feel like you're in an unsafe situation dealing with domestic violence. Okay? They're 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I'm quite sure they'll have plenty of resources. Look at and pay attention to the resources in your area too, right? Find out where's the closest resources in your area, or have someone else do that for you, okay? A trusted friend to find out where it's at, okay? Because your friend is there to help you, okay? So keep that in mind. So if you do not feel safe during the holidays, you can skip the holidays. You know that, right? You don't have to do the holidays. Okay? If you feel unsafe during that time of the year, do not celebrate it. Okay? You have that opportunity. Okay? Um, and you do. You deserve dignity, respect, okay, and enjoyment all through the year, not just during the holidays. Okay? And when you're ready to leave, you're going to leave. Everything is going to fall into place for you. You'd be surprised. When you open up and you break down that door in your spirit, because at this time your self-esteem is low, everything is low on you right now. Okay? You don't feel motivated, you don't feel nothing, you feel worthless. But there's going to be something that's going to break inside you, right? And it's going to give you a power to break free, to go to that freedom that you've been begging for. And you're going to be able to do it. And you're going to be able to walk away with your head held high. And you're going to get out. And you're not going to look back. That's what's going to happen with that. I promise you. Okay? Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about some statistics because I thought it's like it stayed on my mind. I was like, okay, let's get some statistics. Now we're going to talk about um let's see, I want to see something here. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to go a little bit into something that's connected to that, okay? But we're going to talk about the dark side of domestic violence right now. Okay? Now, I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to tell you to guess something, And I want you to guess it. So, which of the 50 states that domestic violence, there has a high rate of domestic violence turned to murder? Do you know which state has the highest? Guess a state that you think that has the highest rate of domestic violence that has turned to murder. Anybody? Put it in the chat down there, you guys, if you know what state out of the 50 states, which state you think has the highest rate of domestic violence that has turned to murder. Anybody? Miss Shamir? Anybody want to answer that? Because I think you're going to be shocked. I think you're going to be really shocked. I was shocked when I found it out. I'll give you a couple of more minutes to guess a state that you think that would have a high rate of domestic violence that turns to murder. That turns murder. Yeah, to murder. Anybody? Okay. So, which state would you believe? Alaska? Let's see. Oh, you looked it up. Oh, you're good, 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 good. Awesome, Miss Dixon. Alaska. Alaska, yes. Alaska. That is the first one. Number one. It says it consistently ranks among the highest states for women killed by male intimate partners. Okay. Um, it says the homicide, it's 100,000 per population. Let me say that again. I said that wrong. Per 100,000 in a population, it outranks everybody. It says female homicide rates in this context. Specific years and methodologies vary, okay? But Alaska often appears at the top in the national rankings for female homicide rates related to domestic violence. So, exactly. So, let's talk other. I got one you forgot, Miss Dixon. I got one you forgot. So, let's talk about the ones um, that you might have forgotten. We have, you said South Carolina, Louisiana, okay, and Nevada appeared near the top in multi-year federal data, okay, for female homicide linked to male perpetrators, often connected to intimate partner situations, right? Because they don't say this is including guns. It's domestic partners now. It's not husband and wife. It's domestic partners now, because that could be male or female. Okay, and this comes from the FBI and the CDC. Okay, um, it also talks about Oklahoma, okay, and Kentucky. They also show some of the highest overall domestic violence prevalence, which correlates with increased risk of lethal outcomes. That tells me there is a lot of people who cannot control or regulate their emotions, right? That are very, very violent, okay, because the regulation is not there. It could be a lot of factors that create that. It could be mental health problems. It could be the way that they're living, their whole lifestyles could have a lot to do with the reason why it's like that. Um, Believe it or not, Arkansas is on this list too, also appears among higher domestic violence prevalence states and shows an elevated homicide risk in historical data. So Arkansas is also on that list. Now, if you look at most of these states, instead of until two states, let's see, that's Alaska and South Carolina that are not. Oh, Nevada's not in the South either. Oklahoma's not in the South, so I can't say that. And Kentucky's not in the South, so I can't say it's in the Bible Belt because that's not gonna that's not gonna be that's not gonna be correct if I say that. So you have a combination of Midwestern, you have Western, Midwestern, and the South, and some of the East Coast, because South Carolina sits mostly, it's in the South, but it sits almost close to the East Coast. So you got it almost going around, okay, where all domestic violence is very, very prevalent, okay. Um, and we're talking about domestic violence that ends in death, okay. Um, that's not good, okay. Um, it says here, with Alaska being number one, female homicide rate related to intimate partner violence. Oklahoma and Kentucky, domestic violence prevalence, a percentage of the population. States with historically high intimate partner gun homicides: South Carolina, Louisiana, Nevada, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. Okay. Um, Domestic violence prevalence percentage of people affected is related but distinct from homicide rates. Okay, so they put them in two different categories. A state can have a high reported violence but a lower homicide rate depending on other factors. So there's other things that are going into this. So you have to look at firearms, you have to look at different factors to make them, to hit that category that they need. So we know now that Alaska is number one, so stay out of Alaska. We live in Louisiana, so we know that. Arkansas, Tennessee, South Carolina, Oklahoma. What you have to look at is, when you want to put this together, what do all these states have in common, right? You have to find out what New Mexico, you have to see what all these states have in common. Maybe they have more poor areas, but let me say this, not all domestic violence happen in poor areas, okay? Marginalized areas, no. Rich folks, mansions, domestic violence happens there too, and people die, okay? People are murdered. Let's South Carolina, Louisiana, Nevada, Oklahoma, Kentucky frequently appear among the top states, which we already talked about. You got to look at the variations to go with that, right? So that's the part I wanted to share with you guys when it comes to the state. So pay attention to the state you live in and pay attention to some of the situations that happen. We know here in Louisiana, we know we have it. Oh, yeah, we definitely know it's here in Louisiana. It's sad that our states are known for the most craziest things, and domestic violence um, that turns into homicides is not something we need to be walking around with our chest puffed out about at all. When you're dealing with people, and this is women, this is not talking about women killing men. These are women being killed by men. So it's a lot of underlying things going on with that person, okay, when they get to the point where they have to kill you. But again, another thing I learned, I learned a lot in my classes. When it comes to domestic violence, we have to keep in mind, let's look at it historically, not by this right here, this information here, but historically. Do y'all understand that women, the wives, were not considered human beings? They were considered property. You don't think that affects a lot of things? You don't think that brings into a lot of factors of why men were so violent? Because women were not considered their wives. They were their wives on paper, but they were considered property. And a lot of reason why a lot of them got away with it, because it was a indoor, it was a family affair. You didn't tell anybody. You couldn't go and report it to the police, because majority of the time the police were beating their wives too. It was a norm. It was a norm to for a woman to be beaten. Amanda White, Grand Parish domestic violence advocate for domestic violence abuse resistant team. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Miss White. But yeah, women were not considered. They were like a cow or a horse, piece of property, and they could abuse, and nobody said anything. Nobody spoke up because it was against the rule to speak up. Even if family members saw it, they were not allowed to tell. So you don't think a lot of people still think that way? When we holler, that's my wife, that's my husband, that's my, are you talking about them as them being your property, or are you talking to them about being part of who you are? You understand what I'm saying? There's a distinction between how you say my, okay? We look at it, my car, my house, that's property. Is that how you see your spouse or your intimate partner? As belonging to you? That they don't have a mind or spirit of their own? That they're not an individual? But we've allowed this misogynistic, egotistical, arrogant mindset to take over, right? And I'm not just talking about males, I'm talking about females too, okay? Because we can act just as, ugh, we can act just as crazy as they can at times, because there is no emotional regulation, right? No emotional intelligence, okay? And let me say this, the red flags were already there. You just didn't pay attention to them, or you were too afraid to say anything about them. And after a while, it becomes too late and the damage is done. And then they have gotten you at the point where they've beaten you down. Your self esteem is low, right? And you want to get out, but you can't. And what did I tell you guys about not having your own? I don't care who you're married to. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be straight honest with you. I don't care who you're married to. I don't care if he got money when he sit on the toilet to go to the bathroom and he shits money. Excuse my language. It's not worth your soul. It's not worth you. It's not worth you getting abused for a dollar bill. It's not worth it. It's not worth you losing yourself for a man. I was watching a video earlier today, and on the video, they were going back and forth. Something about the mother-in-law. The wife doesn't work. He pays all the bills, and he said, "This house is for me and you and the kids, not for your mother. Her mother is sick or something happened, and she wanted to bring her mother to stay with them." He didn't want the mother in the house with them. And he said, if you want your mother with you, then you need to find a place to stay. She got upset and said, "No, my mom, I'm not going nowhere. My mom's staying here with us." Now, I guess I'm a different type of woman, because if he telling me all of that and my mom is sick and she needs me, you can guarantee you I will be finding a place for me and my mom to be. Because one thing I do not, and I said it before, and I'll keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it. When a man got to remind you that he pays the bills, I'll let him pay the bills. Because it doesn't make any sense for him to say that. Because guess what? He would have to pay the bills if you weren't there. To keep a roof over his head, that's part of adulting. That's part of responsibility. Don't let nobody make you feel bad when they throw that in your face. Okay? But again, these women, some women, not all, they go through this fantasy world that they don't, he wants me to be at home and watch the kids and all that. Do that. If that's what works for you, let you do that. But you never want to be in a situation where you can't take care of yourself. Well, I've been at home all this time. I've been a housewife all this time. I don't know how to do. I've heard women say that they don't know how to do certain things. They don't know how to go to the bank. They don't know how to do a lot because he told her that she would not have to work. We think that's a flex for a man to tell us we don't have to work. Ah, I must be. I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We think that's a flex. When do you understand that might be a way he's controlling you by not allowing you to work? Well, I want my wife at home. Okay. Well, if that's who you want to be with, you be with him. But I don't want. If a man would tell me that, I look up. What? What did you say? No, no. I gotta work. I gotta work. I would go crazy if I couldn't do things for myself. No, but to each his own. To each his own, because some women can do that, and I'm not knocking you if you can do it, but I don't care how much you love me. Love don't pay the bills. Money does. I'm just saying. Like Tina Turner said, what love got to do with it? What do it got to do with it? You don't have no money. You have no place to go. You have nothing because he's been in control of everything, or she's been in control of everything, because it could be she too. You have no access to the bank account. You don't even know how to write a check, even though we don't do checks no more. But you wouldn't even know how to do that. You don't know how to balance nothing because you'll let him do everything. Everything. Yes, yes, Miss Dixon, everything. And we think that's a flex. We think that's something to walk around with your chest poked out. And I've heard women say, I don't know what to do. Well, how do you let somebody have that much control over you? Have your own money. I'm just going to say it. Have your own money. I don't care if it's $1, if it's 2 pennies. Have your own money. There's nothing can beat having. If you have to leave and go to a hotel, you don't have a dime on you. You don't have anything. Not to say that you might have family that come, but lots of times everybody, you're not in a mode for everybody to come and know everything that's going on in your household, because you're dealing with shame and humiliation and the whole 9 yards. So you need to have your own money. I told you in the scenario that she gave him a $50 allowance coming up this year. She said she's going to give him a $50 a week allowance. And she'll keep his car filled with gas. So If you only get $50 in allowance, what are you going to do with that $50? And say they tell you you have to prove that you spent it. That's all you get in the $50. When he make groceries, right? He literally orders the groceries and pays for them, so you don't even have to do that. And that's a flex. And he don't even discuss with you the type of groceries you want to buy because he chooses everything for you. That's not a flex. That's somebody who has total control over your life. So I don't get impressed with that. And I just heard too many horror stories. Maybe that's what it is. The PTSD of horror stories from women who were stay at home wives, and he did everything. And when things got rough, she was lost. When he had that total control over her, she couldn't call nobody. He checked her phone, the whole 9 yards. I've heard too many of those stories, and this is why I love empowering women to have your own. And you don't have to know. You don't have to see. We under the impression that we got to tell him everything, or we got to tell her everything. No, you don't. You got to tell him everything. Why would you tell him everything? Why? Because if you tell him everything, then if you try to do something where you're trying to get, he knows already. He knows what you're doing. She knows what you're doing. They ain't got to know everything if you're in that situation. Now, if you're in a marriage where everything works out, and I'm not talking about you. This is not to you. I'm talking about women who are in domestic violence situations. I'm talking about men who are in domestic violence situations. That's the ones I'm talking to, not the ones who have these perfect marriages, if that's what you want to call them. I'm talking to people who have these issues going on and they don't know what to do. But don't put yourself in a situation where you don't know anything, okay? Never put yourself in that situation where you don't know anything. Know something, okay? Pay attention to red flags in the dating. Because, see, let me tell you something. This doesn't stop. It doesn't start after he puts the ring on. It happens prior to the ring. The little subtle things he does, and you thought it was cute. You thought it was cute. You laughed. And he laughed too as he was doing it. And then once he marries you, because now you're his property in his mind, you're his property. You don't have to work. That job, quit that job. You don't have to work. I'll buy your clothes. I already know what your size is. I'll pick the house out. We only need one car because it's not like you're gonna be living in a house. You're not gonna be leaving the house that much. So I'll pick up the kids because once the kids come into play, I'll pick up the kids when I get off work. But you don't need to work. We really think that's something. That's something that, oh wow, I got a man who don't want me to work. Hmm. And then, like I said before, throws in your face, he pays the bills. Okay, you pay the bills. You don't want to say that back to him because you don't want him to get violent. But I'm thinking to myself is, okay, so if I wasn't here, car notes got to be paid, insurance got to be paid, health insurance got to be paid, lights have to be paid, mortgage or rent has to be paid. All those things have to be paid whether I'm there or not. So you throwing up in my face, you're paying all the bills, doesn't make any sense because you still would have to do that. It might not be as much, but it's still part of adulting is paying your bills. So why do you, but that's a way that they do to manipulate, okay, and show control over you. I'm doing this all for you. And you gonna appreciate what I'm doing for you. I'm just saying. It doesn't make any sense. And it took me a long time to realize that, you guys. That when a man tell you that, and you're looking at it like, what? Wait a minute. You would have to do that anyway, right? If your car's not paid for, you're gonna have to pay that car note. Utilities got to stay on. The house note still has to be paid, right? The rent still has to be paid to keep a roof over your head, whether she or he's there or not. All those things have to continue no matter what. But you don't understand that because you're in this phase of your life where you're just happy he's doing this for you. Okay. So I'm going to get off that wagon right there, but I just want to, and I want you guys to let me say this, and I said this before. You watch out with your daughters and your sons, okay? Because domestic violence doesn't start and stop with the adults. The children are next. When I say domestic violence, I'm talking about them calling themselves having boyfriend and girlfriends. Domestic violence happens there too, okay? It happens there too. So you watch your daughters, you watch your sons. And when they're raised, not everybody, but when they're raised, if they're raised in a home where domestic violence is a common thing, when they grow up and get into relationships, guess what happens there? That's what happens there. And so, how do you help them when you didn't help yourself? When you didn't pay attention to the warning signs? You pay attention to the warning signs when it comes to you and when it comes to your daughters and your sons. Because girls beat up on men too. I mean, on boys too. And they have a sense of shame just like the males do. I mean, just like the grown men do. And they got their friends probably laughing at them too. And that can take that to a whole nother level. So pay attention to your children when it comes to that. Get them to talk to you about it. Again, make it normal to talk about things like that so that if something was to happen, they can talk to you. Keep yourself open to talk to them about any type of relationship they're in with male or female. Keep those doors open just in case. And be ready to talk to them. Be ready to comfort them. Because it might help you in the process. You helping them might help you to get stronger and to get out. You'd be surprised at things, the scenarios, and the things that happen that open your eyes to things you didn't realize what was going on. Get them the help, get them the safety that they need, the safety that you probably couldn't get yourself at the time. Don't allow your children to suffer like you have. They don't deserve it. They didn't ask to come here. They didn't pick you as parents. So make sure you get them the proper help too. And you might say, well, how can I get them help when I can't get myself help? Well, maybe if you help them first, maybe there's a possibility that you speak up and you encourage them, and they can encourage you, and you encourage yourself to get the help you need. But your children shouldn't have to go through it. Your teenagers shouldn't have to go through that. No. And you should make sure that they don't have to. Okay? I'm going to leave that part right there and put a pin in that. Okay? Um, I want to talk about our journal, our legacy, Liftoff Journal that will be coming out. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to finish it. It's going to be, I think, it's 120 pages, and it's going to have different questionnaires on it, different things that you have to work on to get it. You're going to have to write and you know to fill it out, because it's going to have some questions for you. It's going to have a habit tracker in there. All the things that you can actually use to move forward, your goals. It's going to be a portion in there that you write a letter to yourself, right? Um, I think it has something in there for your exercising. It's going to have a lot of different categories that you guys are going to be able to enjoy, if you decide to purchase it. Okay. We have, um, I told you guys we have the Rooted and Rising radio station coming up. We have, let's see, is there something else I wanted to talk to you guys about real quick? Oh, we have our webinar coming up the first Monday of January. Um, the reclamation webinar we have coming up. I already have some of your email addresses. I will be sending you guys some invites. It'll be January the 5th. Yeah, the 5th at 7 o'clock. I will be getting your invites out. I probably might try to get them out tomorrow. Give you guys plenty enough time. We had a wonderful time at our webinar for December. So I'm excited for the one in January. Um, I keep my groups small because we want to talk. And like I said, I enjoyed it the last time. When you complete the webinar, you will be receiving 2 worksheets, and you will not get the worksheets until you actually complete the webinar. Okay. Last time, we got an ebook, and Miss Finley wants to discuss some of the ebook, which we can do that on our next show, which will be Wednesday. Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, so our next show is going to be Wednesday. So we'll be definitely talking um, about some of the portions of the book. We can do the first chapter if you want. I don't have a problem with that. If you guys want to know what book I gave away for the last webinar, I think my folder is over here. Okay. So this is the ebook we gave away to our last webinar participants. Okay. And it's Empowering Women's Lives, Stress Free Living, Empowering Women to Thrive in a Chaotic World. So this is the ebook I gave away the last time. So we will definitely be going over some of the things in it, Miss Finley, for you, and share some stuff. Okay. So if you're interested, you can send me your email address, and I will send you an invite to the webinar. Now, you know we can't go anywhere. So, okay, please notify me of your upcoming presentations. My work email address is follow. Okay, let me get that in my book. Under my y'all give me a second. I'm gonna get her email address in here in my list of emails. So what happens is I do a webinar once a month, and it's on Mondays, the first Monday of the month. And golly, it must be way back there. Here we go. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Thank you, Amanda. Okay. Okay. Thank you again. Now, we can't go anywhere without our prompts, our journal prompts, right? We haven't done that in a minute. So I have our journal prompts for tonight. Golly, so much stuff in this book. It's almost done. Okay. So I forgot to even type them in. So the first one is, and this journal prompt is going to be talking about the new year. Okay. The new year. Okay. I read the book and it's a lot, but very interesting. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm glad you did. Okay, so you're going to be able to answer some questions when I get ready to ask the questions. Huh? Okay, our first journal prompt is going to be, what will be my drive in 2026? Not your car, okay? Your drive. What will be your motivation? Number 2, how will I look at the future? Let's see how I did that. When it comes to my aspirations in 2026. All this is 2026. How will it? Yeah. Okay, my aspirations. Okay. Number 3, name 5 things that you would like your community. Your community is not where you live at. Your community is the people that you associate. Your community, your friends, the people that you do things with, or like-minded people in your life. To possess, I can't even spell. Remember, we were talking about um, the friendship checklist. So this is kind of the question that kind of probably goes along with that. Name 5 things that you would like your community to possess in 2026. Right? Okay. Number 4, will I need to require more from myself? Because sometimes people are just satisfied with where they're at. I'm not going to require any more from myself in 2026. Okay. And number 5, is it important for me to Sure, sure, I could do that for you. I could do that for you, Miss Dixon. Um, is important for me to do some shadow work before 2026. If not, can you do it after? And if you don't know what shadow work is, we'll talk about that too. Okay, how do I recharge after a long day? That was the last number four. Okay, how do I recharge after a long day? Oh, you know what that was? That was when we were going through the era. We were actually, those weren't journal. That was something we were actually going through. Oh, that's the one you're talking about. Okay, so hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I know which one you're talking about. Let me find it for you real quick. But that wasn't our prompts. That was something we were doing together. That was a lesson, Miss Dixon. So let's see where I found that at. Let me see where the rest of it is. Let's see. See, I put stuff all over the place. Okay, let's see something here. Mm, 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 mm. I know which one you're talking about. Give me a second, y'all, and we'll be closing out the show. If I can find it at this very moment, we would definitely. Oh, I got some good stuff in here. Oh, that's what I get for saving everything, and I save a lot of stuff, y'all. Okay, let's see something here. Mm, mm, mm. Golly, that's not it. Okay, let's go back out of here. Let's see. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Mm. Miss Dixon, um, let me find that. I can. I'm gonna pull it up. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let me look one more time. I'm gonna find it for you, and I'll get you the rest of those questions because it was like about 30 of those questions that we were answering. But this was different from the prompts we were doing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to find it. Okay. Sorry to keep you guys waiting, but I was looking for it. She said, "Yeah, okay, that's the last. Yeah, that was the last one we did. You're right. You're right. Awesome, awesome. I like. Look, I'm gonna have to give Miss Dixon an A in class. I'm being biased. It's called. That's right, girl. How'd you know? You own it, girl. You own it. But let me see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it. Hold up. You are on it. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Mm, 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 uh, uh, yeah. 2026. Mm, okay. Nope. I didn't find it right off the bat. Plant. Is this it? Yeah, it is. I found it. Okay. So we left off on, what'd you say the last question was? Um, okay, you need the tonight's questions. Okay. Number, how do I know I love you? What do I want to be remembered for? What habits do I want to leave behind? How do I handle stress and challenges? How do I prefer to be treated by others? What do I need to let go of to move forward? What kind of self-care routine nourishes me? How do I maintain a healthy work-life balance? I think that's the one we did. Is that the one we did? This one had a lady on it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna look for it, and I'll make sure you bring it up to me our next class. Okay, that'll be Wednesday, and we'll pull those out, because it's crazy that I can't find it right off the bat. That's what I get for saving everything. Okay, so I want to say to you guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Miss White. Thank you, Miss Dixon. Thank you, Miss Finley, and each and every one of you guys who hung out with me tonight. I hope I've left you with something. I want you guys to be safe. The holidays are not over with. New Year's Eve is right around the corner. Please be careful. Please minimize the arguments. Please minimize the anger. Please make sure the children are not around when you feel the need to do certain things. Keep the kids out of it. Watch how you drink. You're grown. You do what you want, but do not let your liquor turn you angry. Put away all that jealousy. You don't want them, all that insecurity. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself. Okay? Enjoy yourself. Okay? That's what I want you guys to do. Put away all that. Y'all, we going into 2026. There's so many people, because of this, are not going to see 2026. Okay? So I advise you, in 2026, if you know you're having all these issues, get some help. Get some help. Okay? That's what I'm going to leave you with. Okay? Get you the help you need. Yes, peace to you too, sweetie. So you guys have a great night, and bye-bye. Thank you for hanging out with me. Oops. Look, I got.